Hi, it's Jeremy. If you're in Australia, you will have noticed perhaps that there's a lot of things going on with government talking about budget deficits and increasing tax rates and economy downturns and all sorts of things happening that give you a good indication that we're headed for maybe not a crunch, but a bit of a slowdown. There's a lot of government programs and subsidies which probably tailed off already or will get the carving knife to them, regardless of which government we get at the end of the year. It seems logical that there's more being spent than there's in revenue coming in tax, so things are going to change. And that might mean that businesses that were relying on strong income from a certain government program might find that doesn't exist to the extent that it has done, or it might disappear altogether. You don't know. If you've been in business for a number of years, you may remember that we had something similar happen around 2008 when the global financial crisis was happening, and business goes through cycles. I haven't been around a long time, but I've been through a few of these types of experiences, and I see stress in clients and in other people and other businesses, and it's important to be aware of what's happening so that you can be conscientious, I guess. And so I'm not going to give any financial advice or words of wisdom or any sort of sage things here, but the kinds of things that I think about, which are on my mind for not preparing for a recession necessarily, but maybe making sure that we're in as robust a position as we can be for whatever happens in the future. Because it's not just like everything keeps growing and more money. I mean, it's basically, if it's not already plateaued, then it will. And, things like investments might experience a downturn, money might get taken out of the stock market and put into gold or whatever. These things have flow-on effects. As government programs finish up, that means that there's less money available for certain businesses, and those businesses can't spend as much money. So there's a whole, it just rolls on through the whole system. You've got mining companies that are cancelling or pausing projects, and that has an effect on lots of contractors. So there's positive things that we can do, and I like these things mainly because I find that they're productive and interesting and positive growth focused. I'm just talking in general. I'm not going to go into too many specifics, but certainly marketing and embracing things like Facebook or LinkedIn, improving websites, that kind of stuff is good at any time to do, but even more so prior to a downturn. If you can make it through a downturn, then your business will be stronger and there'll be probably less competitors, because what happens, it seems, is the less robust competitors will fall away, or they'll go and get jobs, or things will change. And I watched this happen with the home loan industry a few years ago. We had a lot of tightening up with credit. The banks didn't want to lend as much money. The government didn't have as much subsidies around, and people were very cautious about the future. And people who were very dependent on home loans tended to either have very reduced incomes, or they went and got jobs. And we had a number of clients who were brokers who changed altogether. New businesses, sold their businesses, all sorts of things. That's okay. It's just a readjustment. It's like a structural change to the economy. People follow where the money is. So marketing before it's too late. And I suppose this applies to anything, but especially with a website. You don't want to wait until the tax man knocking at the door to be improving your website and putting time into Facebook and improving your LinkedIn profile and things like that, because it may be too late by then. These are things you want to be doing months or years out from possible downturns. I hope you understand when I say you, I mean this is what I do. I'm not instructing. I just have a tendency to lapse into this sort of teaching type role. I don't know how that comes across, but hopefully I don't feel like I'm telling you what to do. Just understand that this is me going, well, what would I do? an easy one really is your mailing list, and that could start with like a fishbowl in the store or a competition or an existing customer database. So it might be you have a database in, in MYOB or in your email, wherever it is, and an occasional email to keep track or keep people up to date with what you're doing can be really good. You're just keeping in touch, letting people know what's happening, and reminding them that you exist. Additionally, we're working on our podcast and our video blogging, and we've got a podcast I've started for one of our clients, and I think it's definitely something that is a pretty hot topic right now, that doing a podcast and videos is a really good way of putting out something that people will interact with and talk to you about, and get some feedback happening to you. So that brings me to the sort of nurturing aspect. So existing clients, they want to know that you care about them. And I'm not pretending like we're perfect at this. My goodness, we make probably as many or more mistakes than any business. I wish we were perfect, but we're just, we can't be. We aim for it every day. We go, we're going to be awesome today. But sometimes it just doesn't all match up. And sometimes, for whatever reason, nothing, things just don't always work out. But we try really hard to make sure they do. Try and make sure that we are talking to people, that we're being as helpful as we can, really giving every bit of assistance we can to solve people's problems and make sure they're happy with what we're doing for them. So they do want to pay their bills, because honestly, the best debt collection method that I've ever found is people who are happy with what you've done, because then they will feel like they need to pay you because you've done a good job. And that beats out any type of contract or any type of debt collector I've ever had. Happy people pay their bills, basically, nearly always on time, or at least they'll tell you, oh, okay, I'm going to pay this off now, or something like that. Mate, if you haven't already got credit card facilities and PayPal, get that set up. People will pay you on credit card that maybe they won't pay you some other way. It's a form of money that's easier for people to get usually, so make sure that's available. It's a time when you can think about offering new products and services. So if you are an established retail store, well, what's something you've been thinking about that you'd like to add in? If you walk into a service station, like a petrol station, or I guess Americans would call it a gas station, right? There's all these things around you that they just want you to pick up and buy. It might be that, we've got a client that's a butcher, and they've branched out into other types of products that they know the people in their area are interested in buying. And to start with, it might be an experiment that, they don't know how many we're going to sell of this product. But you do a test. You buy a few products, you let some people know, maybe do a bit of advertising, and see, does it sell? Do people come and look for this product? If you can increase the number of products that people are buying from you, then that can mean more profit and more opportunity to increase the number of contacts you have with a person as well, and they become more connected to you. So it's an opportunity not to just randomly pick things out and go, oh yeah, let's start selling boxed lollies, and oh yeah, well, let's add this and gift line and whatever. Sometimes you see a chemist and you just wonder, like, are they a chemist or a gift store? And I think you need not to. I don't like to divert too far out of what the business is known for. But if you can add some extra things in, then yeah, why not? As long as you're making money out of it. I remember we had a client who was a hardware store, and it was near a high school. I was like, he had like a drink machine and snacks and things. I was like, what? Like, do your customers come in and buy these products? I just couldn't quite. I was like, it seems really out of place. So, for some place that sells like nuts and screws and bolts, like, what's going on? But the high school, the kids would, on the way home, they would call in and they knew they could get, a cheap can of soft drink or a packet of chips. And I'm not saying that's like a really good, I don't know if that's ethical or if that's like, it's not a good health message. But if you can sell $20 worth of foodstuffs a day, that might be just enough to pay your electricity, or it might be enough to pay for your bookkeeper or something like that. It does, little bits add up. Okay, so that's another sort of income idea. You can look at it as an opportunity to seek out some advice from an expert. Now, that might mean a business coach or some mentor. It might be an existing client or a friend in business, or it might be your accountant or your business consultant type person. There's lots of different ways that you can find advice, and I've used all of those different methods. And still I have a blend of things, like from family and friends and accountant and advisors and clients that I know, and just every possible person that you talk to is a source of knowledge about how they're doing things in their business, and maybe you can apply that to your business. Plus, I absorb a few hours of podcasts a day, so I'll listen to people like Amy Porterfield about online marketing, or Dan Norris about building web design companies, or I was trying to think of some of the others, like the NPR in the US do some great podcasts like Planet Money and their technology news, which I love listening to, or the BBC with Business Daily. All these things are potential places that you can get knowledge for little or no cost. There's so many great podcasts you can listen to while you're walking a dog or driving or meditating or whatever it is. It might be a good time to join a networking group. I'm just saying, like, it takes time for people to get to trust you. If you're thinking of joining a BNI networking group, there's a lead time. Like, if you are a impulse purchase, then you might find it's quite quick. But if you're a business that, maybe like us, it takes a while for people to need your services and get to trust you, you might need 6 months for that to start to kick in. So don't leave it till it's too late. If you want some more clients, then think about what can you do. Maybe you want to join Chamber of Commerce, or join your Rotary Club, or be a part of a Lions Club, or go and be a part of a business interest group or something like that, or a meetup or something. Then don't wait till it's too late. The other thing is, when you're hiring people, if you've got more work to do, then you can certainly look at contract and part-time as opposed to full-time. And look, labour laws different all over the world. I'm not saying that it's always possible, but if there's a way for you to give someone a trial, even for a month or a week, or to hire them on a contract basis, then that can be a good way of finding out if they're a good fit before you commit a lot to their wage for an ongoing period. So they're all the positive things that sort of come to mind. There's a few that I thought of in terms of like reducing costs. So an easy one is like ring your electricity company in Australia, and you can pretty much get 10% out of them just for saying, I'll be a customer for another couple of years. I mean, if you've been on the same provider for a while, like a few years, and that you're just on a month-by-month basis, if you ask them, can I have a discount? And they'll say, probably yes. We'll give you 10, 15%, but you need to sign up for a 2-year thing or 2-year contract or something. Okay. Yeah, especially if you're not planning on changing companies anyway. You can shop around. I know different countries don't always have, an electricity market like we do, where you can choose providers, but if you never ask, you never get a discount. And that goes for phones as well. Like we've got a guy we refer to, Paul from SGT Communications, and people who have been set up with their business phones for many years, he can come in, set them up with a whole new phone system, new plan from Telstra, and save them hundreds of dollars a month just because there's new products available. Health insurance, same thing, car insurance, anything you're paying a big service provider for, there's nearly always opportunities to get a discount, or to shop around, or get some sort of reduction or a new plan that they've got. And that can save you, it could be a few dollars a month, could be hundreds of dollars a month. Don't know. But you don't know until you ask. And these big companies don't just have like one price they give everybody. They have deals that go on. Okay, so you can, if things really do get pretty quiet, you can reduce staff hours, or negotiate with people to have some time off, or maybe you have to reduce your staff. These are unfortunate, but sometimes that happens, and do that before it's too late. Don't hang on until it's real desperate. You can reduce non-essential expenditure. I don't know, every business has got something. Like maybe it's, there's more than enough cars, or maybe, if you pay for extra car parks, you could get rid of some of them, or maybe, there's the opportunity changed from having a drink fridge to a vending machine. We've got a client that does vending machines and doesn't cost anything for the business. Staff have to put their own money in it. Maybe if you have a coin jar that's not getting filled up quickly enough, you could get a vending machine instead. So reducing the non-essential expenditure, which might mean maybe instead of getting flowers once a week, you get them once a fortnight. Or, if you've got potted plants in the office, maybe cut it back to fewer of them, or get a plastic plant or something. There's different ways of saving money, and if you think about it, there'll be something you can do. And I see things like this in our business, and I try and do something about them. The last one, I guess, is really important, especially in Australia around June, is talk to your tax accountant about how you're going and tax strategies. Maybe they can help you reduce your tax. I know our accountant and accountants I know, they always have stories like, we saved these people $10,000, or we reduced their tax bill by 10% or 20%, or whatever it is. There's ways of making sure that you're claiming all the things you need to, and that you're getting the tax back that you should. If you made a loss one year, you might be able to bring it forwards, or maybe they'll say, look, it really is time to get a new car, or how about you buy some more stock before the end of financial year, or maybe you can make a donation to a charity, or there's lots of different ways, but you can make the most of the people who know what they're doing. I have no idea about most tax stuff, I'll be honest about that. I know the basics, but that's why we have an accountant and a bookkeeper that know what they're doing, so they can give us this advice. And I certainly would, anybody that doesn't have a good bookkeeper and accountant, and ideally an accountant that can give you some business advice, that's a very, very good idea to do that. It's really, goodness, you could waste a lot of money if you don't. They always pay themselves off, basically. I've never had an accountant, I don't think, that didn't save us, at least as much as their fees were. Oh, I don't know if maybe that's not true, because it's often mixed with bookkeeping. But I guess the premise is, if you don't have these people, it can be a real problem for you. So I guess that's a little bit of a down note, I suppose, isn't it? I don't like to dwell on these kinds of things, but the fact is, in Australia, in 2013, it's a bit of an uncertain year. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world that we don't know what's going to happen. Is Europe going to have another recession? How's America going to pay off its debts? What's happening with all the mining in Australia? What's happening in China? There's a lot of external factors that we don't know what's going to happen next. We don't even know exactly what the national broadband network is going to look like yet. So uncertainty tends to mean people don't want to spend as much. And if you can find ways of streamlining a business, improving your sales and profitability, maybe you can increase your price by 2% or something. All these things are things to consider before it's too late. So in advance of the downturn, to make sure that your business is nice and healthy going into any possible situation. Okay, I hope that was a bit helpful. And if you have any comments, jump onto our website, or hit me up on Facebook or something, LinkedIn, and I'll have to have a chat. Okay, see ya.